Yo, mic check one, two. Oh, you guys can hear me. 1 second, hold on. All right. Sorry for me being a little bit unprofessional, but this is breaking news for a reason, right? Okay. All right. Well, if you guys can hear me, let me know in the chat. You know, I always got to make sure I got to hear myself. I'm not a egocentric or anything. Do, do, do. All right. Just getting the word out about this breaking news edition of the newscast. Okay. I think we are set here. Okay. All right. Well, first things first, thank you for joining me for this breaking news edition of the newscast. I'm your host, Todd King Johnson, as always. And yeah, the screen that you see before you, the title on this video, is not a joke, or is it? Irregardless, this is big news. This is actually monumental news, not just for AEW, but for the industry, I believe, in general. So if you haven't read it already on your screen, it just came out, I believe, a couple of minutes ago that Cody and Brandi Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, one of the EVPs and founders of All Elite Wrestling, and Brandi Rhodes, the chief brand officer of the company, have left All Elite Wrestling. That is basically what's happening here. Now, we'll get into a little bit of a discussion of what this truly means in a moment, but I do want to read this statement from Tony Khan on the All Elite Wrestling Twitter account. So let me go ahead and read this real quick. Cody and Brandi Rhodes are integral to the launch of All Elite Wrestling. Cody's ability, combined with his boldness and his passion for our industry and his love for community outreach, helped AEW deliver on our mission to give fans what they needed for far too long. Something new, innovative, and lasting. Brandi helped us shape the AEW story, and I appreciate how hard she fought for us, both in the ring and out of the ring, competing in the women's division while advancing our efforts at inclusion and civic causes, including great partnerships with Culture City and the American Heart Association. I have immense respect and appreciation for Cody and Brandi, and I wish them both the best as they move on from AEW. Thank you, Cody and Brandi. CEO, President, General Manager, Head of Creative of All Elite Wrestling, Mr. Tony Khan. And then we're going to read Cody's statement here through his rebranded community outreach account. I know some of you can't probably read the text here, but I'm going to do my best to spell it out here. So here we go. This is from Brandi. I'm sorry, this is from Cody. Brandi also put it out a tweet. I'll find that in a minute. But I have loved my time at AEW. Amazing locker room, amazing fans, amazing people. The revolution was indeed televised, and I've been incredibly lucky to be a part of that. First, I want to thank Tony Khan. He's taken the baton and run with it, and it was an honor to work for him and to know him on a personal level. He's a beautiful soul. Obviously, need to thank my incredible wife and the mother of my baby girl, Brandi, for all of her love and support throughout this journey together and the amazing relationships she fostered with Culture City and the American Heart Association. I also need to thank Nick and Matt Jackson. These two, whether they know it or not, took an undesired and not confident little cub and gifted me the confidence to become a leader of the pack. Kenneth Omega, Chris Jericho, Chicken, we started the fire. I must thank Tim W., Keith Mitchell, Greg W., and the amazing production crew who understood and captured the vision with such grace. I can't name everybody, but thank you to Mega, Margaret, Harrington, Jeff Jones, Dana, Tony Schiavone, Byrne, Raph, and the hardest worker in the game, QT Marshall, for propping me up and kicking me in the ass when I was running on fumes. There you go. I must thank all my kiddos: MJF, Jade, Sammy, Darby, Lee, Ricky, Tom, The Guns, Brock, Velvet, Nyla, Aubrey, Turner, Vanilla, Solo, Spears, Julia, Anna, Will, Wardlow, Sony, Fuego, One, and of course, -1. While we're at it, give Jade the Cody Vader. Also need to take a moment to thank the great partners at Warner Media, including Brett, Sam, and the rest of the team. I have so many milestones and beautiful memories of this renaissance. Through sweat, blood, and tears, literal fire, and all that. I left it all on the mat. Everything pales in comparison to the final contribution I was empowered to lead at the company, the community outreach team. In the most inward moments, your outward behavior and your ability to take fame, and influence, and do something of value for the communities you visit, whether the cameras are on or off, in the highest honor. I am confident Amanda Huber will lead the department with style. I'm so proud of my creations and contributions and the items I supported or collaborated on with such wonderful professionals. Thank you, fans. Y'all did the work. Let's live forever. So that was Cody's statement. And let me go ahead and find... let me see if I can go ahead and find Brandi's statement here as well. It's going to take some detective work. Give me a second here. Let's see here. Come on. There you go. Alright. Yeah, here we go. Boom. Okay. Alright. And then Brandi tweeted to this effect here. Said, a heartfelt thank you to every fan that has supported me in AEW. It was an honor to be the company's first chief brand officer. The thank you list is long, so I'll try to wander. Thank you to Culture City, Special Olympics Illinois, and the American Heart Association for allowing me to cultivate these amazing partnerships. Thank you to every AEW heel that helped me build a dream community of female fans. Thank you to every AEW wrestler and talent that worked hard to create a great locker room environment. Thank you to the production team, makeup team, and seamstresses. Thank you, Dustin, QT, Jerry Lynn, and Leva Bates, for every ounce of energy, help, and encouragement you provided. Thank you to my husband for being that constant rock and partner every single day. Thank you to TNT, TBS, and Warner Media for treating my family like your family. Thank you to Tony Khan for giving me this opportunity and platform. I move forward with my daughter and this quote in mind. We must take time to define our own path. Too quickly we can find the world defining it for us. Also, I'll see you on the flippity flop, Michael Scott. So, that's where we stand right now in terms of everything that's happening. So, here's the deal. I woke up a couple moments ago, and, I'm off today from work, so I figured, it's going to be like another day before Dynamite, and we'll see what happens. All of a sudden, I started getting some tweets, and I even started getting some messages about something that's going to happen. Something pretty big is going to happen in a matter of moments. Again, it's wrestling media. You can never take these guys at their word. You got to just kind of roll your eyes and say, oh my God, just report it. Like, I don't need, eye emojis every time you're trying to tease something. This is one of those rare times, though, where this news, teasing of news is big, if not monumental. So, here we are. Cody and Brandi Rhodes have left AEW. Now, let's talk about it. Let's really talk about it. Now, if you believe that this is true, then I completely understand your reaction. If you believe this is fake, I completely understand your reaction. If you are confused overall, I completely understand your reaction. Here's what I'm getting at here. Have we, as a wrestling fan base, become too cynical in terms of thinking that everything has to be a work? Everything has to be a storyline. Everything has to be within kayfabe restrictions. I mean, I'd argue probably yes. Some would argue no. And that's a discussion for another time. But I have to say, this does feel a little strange. I will have to be honest. And certain things here and there have led me to that. I actually want to point this out real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Dustin's tweet here said on 7:17 in the morning, about 30 minutes ago, "No, I am not leaving. I like it here in AEW." I find that very weird. Really weird. Whoa. There we go. I find that really weird. Because I know Dustin may have had to say something about his brother leaving the company, but it just feels weird for Dustin to word it that way. So there's already a red flag there. Number two, I know that allegedly Turner was preparing for this, but the second season of Roads to the Top was just renewed a couple of weeks ago. And I doubt that, let's be honest, let's just assume that Cody and Brandi are going to WWE, which I'll talk about that in a moment, but let's assume that they're going there. Do you honestly believe that Cody and Brandi going to shows that are owned within NBC Universal and Fox with their shows of Raw and SmackDown respectively, do you honestly think they would allow the Rhodes to still do their show on Warner Media property? Their competitors? No. And especially not for Cody and Brandi Rhodes. It may be one thing for a Stone Cold Steve Austin. It may be another thing for, I don't know, The Rock. But for Cody and Brandi Rhodes, they're not getting that leverage in WWE if they return. So, that's also another red flag to me. 3. The last time we saw Cody and Brandi lead you to believe that it was an unceremonious walking out. Cody had just put over Sammy in that great ladder match for the TNT title. And had that little promo backstage as an exclusive video. I find that hard to believe with the Cody Rhodes character that would be a one and done for him. Especially considering who's still in the company for him to still go through. And especially it's weird for Brandi. Brandi 2 weeks ago just had that bad segment with Dan Lambert. Them going back and forth, settling a future match with her and Paige Van Sant. And even Paige Van Sant did a video promo, I believe last week, talking about a potential match with her and Brandi down the road. So that is very, very weird that it's all of a sudden now abruptly pulled, if that's the case. So, if this is real, let's talk about that aspect too. Because I had mentioned more so if this was a work, which could honestly very well be. Knowing this company, knowing Cody and Brandi, and knowing this wrestling business in 2022, this could all just really be an elaborate work. And if it is, kudos to them. Now, if this is real, if this is actually real, that Cody and Brandi have left AEW, founders of this company, part of the foundation of All Elite Wrestling, leaving their corporate business and their corporate positions with Warner Media and this company in general, if they truly left, and let's assume that they're maybe heading back to WWE, I have to be honest with you, that may be the dumbest move I have seen a wrestler make in quite some time. Straight up. I'll give me 1 second here. Sorry, Monday morning cough, or Tuesday morning cough. You know how that goes. But anyways, if this is real, and Cody and Brandi truly have left AEW to go back to WWE, that may very well be the dumbest move I have seen a wrestler, or a duo of wrestlers do in quite some time. Because hear me out here. Why would you leave a comfortable and solvent position with All Elite Wrestling and with Warner Media to go back to the WWE knowing that you're not going to have the same position, the same capital, the same leverage there. Why would Cody Rhodes, let's even ignore all the promos that he does, talking about how AEW was Ellis Island for wrestlers and that they are an alternative to WWE and that him being Cody Rhodes now is a different Cody Rhodes when he left. Why would you go back? Does Cody really think, and I don't know the man, I don't know what he's thinking at the current moment, but I'm just assuming, why would he think going back to WWE where Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar rule the world there? Why would he think he would be of equal stature there? Another thing to add to that, he's part of the group that have been in competition with the company for 3 years. Why would he go back? Does he know how this works? He should know better, considering he's a Rhodes. He should know better. I'm not saying it'll be an outright burial, because that would be too blatant, but they would put the screws on him very quickly, and he would have to know that. That's why I'm sketchy about this. And third, let's talk about this too. He's a Rhodes. For those that don't know better, go back and study your history. Go back and do some research about the Rhodes and the McMahons. One of the biggest wrestling rivalries on and off screen that you will ever see in your livelihoods. The McMahons have made the Rhodes to be out like jerks for decades. Decades. Dusty, Dustin, Cody, and anyone that was connected with them to make them look like absolute jokes. It's not different in 2022. If nothing else, it's going to even be more apparent because Cody and Brandi were a part of AEW, the company that has given WWE a run for their money for the past 20 years. And Brandi Rhodes, what is Brandi Rhodes going to do there? I doubt she's going to go back to ring announcing again or being a backstage interviewer. What is she really going to do there? And if the whole point of her is going to be a manager, that's what you were doing really in AEW. So what's the difference? I'm not saying that Cody's contract didn't expire. I would like to believe that the negotiations between Tony Khan and Cody were that Cody probably wanted a better deal, a better AEW deal than he got initially when the company started. And Tony wasn't willing to budge. I think he gave him a little bit of a better offer, but he wasn't willing to give Cody the full deal that he was looking for, so he didn't budge on that. And Cody let his current contract expire. I don't doubt that. What I do doubt, though, is that Cody is completely done with this company. Now, I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I could be very well wrong with all of that. And that Cody and Brandi truly have left. And that they have their future basically down their own path. I could be very well wrong. But there are too many red flags to me to think that this is a complete legit situation. I'm sorry, there's too much. Cody's a part of Go Big show. Road to the Top got a second season. And you know Road to the Top's going to use this whole contract drama as part of an angle for that show. What other companies are out there to really offer what Cody and Brandi are looking for other than WWE? And they would be looking ridiculous if they went back there anyways. So until I hear a complete and effective argument that this is legit and that this is going to be them coming back to WWE, I'm sorry. This comes off like a work to me. It kind of comes off like a work to me. You know what I'm saying? And look, we've all heard the rumblings that, the EVPs don't get along. Well, no shit. It's the wrestling business. Not everybody gets along. Even if you guys are friends or, friendly with each other. Nobody ever gets along with what ideas and outreach they want to put out there. There's going to be heads to clash. That's been a part of wrestling since forever. I don't think that is enough for Cody to leave his position, his corporate and professional position at AEW and Warner, though. And if it is, then Cody made a completely dumbheaded mistake to do that. So, look, it's going to be hell today. Today, it's going to be a hellish day on the internet like it is usually, but it's going to be very, very bad. Dynamite, once again, has become must-see with this news alone, whether it affects them or not. Let's ask the question, though, right? Do you think Cody goes to WWE? Or do you think this is all the work and that he will resign with AEW and he will completely turn heel? Because that's what I thought this was all leading to. I think the plan here was Cody was going to remain low for a while and then come back and shock the world and turn heel and become that evil corporate EVP that we've all wanted in AEW this whole time. I think that's where this is heading. And I still in a way think that this is where it's heading. This all comes off too out of nowhere, is what I'm getting at. And the reason why I'm saying this too, we just heard news about, Josh Alexander from Impact Wrestling. His contract there has expired, and his U.S. work visa has expired as well. Conveniently enough, within the same period that he in storyline has been sent home, quote unquote, by Scott D'Amore from Impact Wrestling. And I saw a lot of people yesterday talk about how I don't know. My thing. Here's my thing. My thing is, we are all wrestling cynics in a way. So we understand how this works. We don't like to be worked in this modern day and age. I do still, but unless it's really good. But a lot of us don't like to be worked. But that's part of the appeal of professional wrestling, in my opinion. It's okay to be worked. It's okay to feel a genuine emotion towards things. So, here's the deal. I think, if you want my honest opinion, I think Cody, Brandi, and Tony, and maybe a few other people are in on all of this. And that come next month or next couple of months, they will be back. Cody will finally fully turn heel, and he will be more than justified in doing so. That's kind of where I think this is kind of where I think all this is heading at the end of the day. But again, if this is truly for real and that Cody and Brandi have really left AEW just to go back to WWE, it's one of the dumbest moves I've seen a wrestler commit in a long while. Like, yeah, WWE is making $1 billion in revenue profit. That's only through their deals within media rights and TV and the Saudi Arabia events that they are being held for a decade. That's why they're really making their record-breaking revenue. That has nothing to do with really what they have been able to accomplish creatively for the past 2 decades. And Cody was a part of those years within those decades there. So why would he think it would be any different now? Unless his motivation at this point is to say, you know what? I started a company. We went against their third brand that was the alternative at the time. We beat their ass. We're in contention with Raw now in the demos. I've done a lot of the most memorable moments and matches in my company. I just want to get paid now, and I just want to kind of use that money to set forth a future down the road. If that's what Cody and Brandi think, then that's what they think, and that's what we're gonna have to hold them to. But to me personally, I just think if this is true, it's boneheaded. It just is. I'm sorry, like, there's really no other way to really describe this, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it because of the breaking news or because of Cody and Brandi Rhodes. It's boneheaded. It's almost, here's the thing, it's like Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns left WWE to go to AEW, I would also think that's a boneheaded move. Why would you leave your secured position in the WWE as a top guy to go to AEW when you wouldn't get that leverage or security or certainty there. It doesn't make sense. And I see someone in the chat stating, what if he started his own promotion? Why? Why would Cody leave AEW to start a third major promotion, which would get even less attention or views or business than AEW? That makes no sense. Unless Cody's teaming up with Jeff Jarrett and they're bringing back the Force Brother. Maybe. But in all seriousness, that would look pretty ridiculous. So who knows? Who knows what's up with this whole Cody and Brandi thing? Let me see if I can go through here on Twitter. If you guys have any questions or comments you would like to make on the chat room, I can answer them about this whole Cody and Brandi Rhodes thing. I can do that. Let me see here. Yeah, this is gonna dominate like all the social media, apps and all today. And see, I see a lot of tweets from the AEW talents tweeting, goodbye Cody. I don't know, man. This is just, I don't know. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments you want to make on the live chat, I'll go ahead and read some of them and let you know what I think. But I do have a appearance that I'm going to be doing with Zahaya and Adam's podcast this week, and what perfect timing that we're going to probably talk about this topic. So look out for that in the next couple of days. Red Zero seems to think not a work, but he's not going to the Fed. I mean, it's possible. I mean, this could very well not be a work. Maybe they're not. Maybe they aren't going back to WWE. Maybe they are done with wrestling. But it's Cody. That's my thing. It's Cody for as long as you've known Cody on screen. On things he said on the internet and on interviews. Do you think Cody wouldn't be involved in wrestling anymore? Because that's what you're implying. If you don't think this is a work, that they're legit leaving AEW, but they're not going back to WWE, well, where else will they go? Are Impact fans really going to laugh and think they have a shot of bringing Cody and Brandi over to the Skyway Studios? Ring of Honor basically isn't having any more contracted talent, and MLW and then the NWA are holding on by a thread. So I mean, what does that really mean for them if they're not going to be really back, to WWE, but they're leaving AEW? It doesn't make sense to them for them, in my opinion. What is left anymore? I have no idea, dude. I really don't know. It's wrestling in 2022. I know it's a very cliche thing to say, but it's just anything can happen at this point in this business. Never say never has never been more applicable than right now. Honestly, it would be disappointing if he goes back to the Fed after everything. Honestly, I agree with that. And I haven't even really touched on that a lot. Maybe I'll talk about that on Zahaya and Adam's podcast later tonight, and it'll come out within a few days it comes out. Maybe I'll talk about it there. But I kind of low-key let Cody and Brandi off the hook here because the news is so confusing. At the moment. But yeah, if they really do go back to WWE after everything Cody has said and acted upon and done, I understand that workers work and you're not supposed to take wrestlers at face value. I've said that many, many times. So it's not like I don't know that. But for him in particular to say what he has said, only to really just come crawling back, and that's what it would be, to come crawling back to WWE and basically play a supporting player role. Yeah, it would look bad on Cody, I'm not going to lie. But I'll speak on that more on Adam and Zahaya's podcast later today. But yeah, it would be disappointing. I will say that. I will definitely say that. focused fights, there's no fucking way that Cody would be stupid enough to create a third major promotion exactly because of what Hakim said. It doesn't make sense to me. It just like it doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, why would you leave AEW? Why would you leave your secure and protected position in AEW and Warner? But not only do you not go to WWE where there is more money to be made there possibly for you, but you're gonna do another upstart promotion as a major company when that can't even be guaranteed as a success. Who's gonna back it? Who's gonna get all the missing pieces to put it together? What wrestlers are out there available that can be big stars the same way Jericho was and Moxley were for AEW when they came first year? Who's the creative team there? What will Cody even do there? It just that. Oh my god! If that isn't even remotely true, that's even dumber than going back to WWE. Because WWE, whether you like the content or not, they're solvent. They are secured for another decade in terms of their money. You starting a third wrestling promotion, it's sink or swim. It's a crapshoot. It can either succeed or fail. And you've done that once with AEW, and it luckily succeeded. Are you really looking to do that again? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Yeah, it just, and honestly, look, a third major promotion, I do think there's room for it, but it doesn't seem like anyone's interested to really make that work the likes they did with AEW. So it just would not look to be feasible, in my opinion. Mo, I'm trying to see Stardust. Can you imagine if you really went back to Stardust? I think I might have enjoyed Stardust like for maybe the first 6 months, and then I was like, all right, this is dumb. But can you imagine just going back to being Stardust? I really would laugh. That would be the eternal L of all L's for Cody for the rest of his life. I'm gonna laugh though. Don't get it twisted though. Cody to Hollywood. Do you really think Cody Rhodes would really be a Hollywood guy? I mean, I know he did stuff with Arrow, and I know he's got connections with like Stephen Amell and other actors, I guess, through Warner. But I don't see Cody Rhodes Hollywood superstar. I don't see that. He's not The Rock. He's not John Cena. He's not even Batista. So I don't see that happening. He might attempt it, but I don't see that happening. Monroe. Ricky Morton said, "Don't work yourself into a shoot." Yo, that phrase has never. It keeps aging throughout the years, but Ricky is always right. So, yeah, I would tell fans not to work themselves into a shoot. Like, assume it's a work until it's proven not to be. That's always really been my motto. Assume everything that you see and do is a work until proven otherwise. That's always been the wrestling business for like ever. So, this is a weird situation. Yeah, it is. This is actually pretty weird, even a little surreal if you want to be honest. He is either retiring or he could perhaps help the relaunch of Raw or New Japan. Well, if he's retired, well, he has talked about. Okay, well, Cody has talked about retiring around 40, I believe he said. I mean, which, you can never take a wrestler's words seriously when they speak about retirement. You just can't. But why would Cody want to help ROH? Why would they want to help ROH when ROH is basically not having any more contracted talent? And Sinclair are still looking to maybe cut Ring of Honor if their deficit is too big to overcome through their purchases of Bally Sports and their app. So I don't know about all that. In New Japan, I wouldn't see him going back to New Japan either. Unless it's like a Forbidden Door thing, which he could have done with AEW. Do you think Cody and Brandi are buying Ring of Honor? No, I don't. I don't think that. At all. Cody could be burned out and probably take time away to be home and do his other ventures. I mean, that's also possible. He is a new father. With that comes a lot of responsibility, and he probably is burned out, literally. I mean, him going through a flaming table probably put a lot of things into perspective for him. But it's possible that Cody and Brandi just want to take some time off for real and kind of recollect what they want to do going forward. And then once they're ready and once they're refreshed, they will make a more firm decision about it. So I do want to clarify that this whole Cody and Brandi thing today, their contracts have expired. That's all this is. It's not about commitment to any company one way or the other. It's just that their contracts, their current deals with AEW have expired. So maybe it's kind of a little bit of a misleading title that they've left AEW. They just have had their contracts expired. That's all this is right now. It's pretty apparent WWE and Cody are talking. I doubt WWE would entertain him and open a dialogue if they thought he was bluffing. I think it's more so that WWE is so arrogant that they want to take one of the founding members of AEW and dangle it above AEW and Tony saying, haha, we're talking to Cody. We might get him. We might give him more money than you're willing to offer him. I think that's more of where they're kind of aligned with. I mean, maybe WWE knows he's bluffing or not. We'll see how far Cody and Brandi want to take this. But we don't know anything yet until more information will be revealed. And it will be revealed down the road in the next couple of days or weeks about what's really going on here. But with Cody and Brandi, we'll see. I do believe that WWE and Cody probably did have some premature talks for the past couple of weeks, but I don't think nothing's been solid yet, at least. But who knows? Who knows? Or maybe the Fed is offering him a creative role, which is still dumb. That's my point. Like, who gives a fuck about him getting a creative role in WWE? Have you seen creative in WWE lately? Why would Cody leave his secured spot in AEW to take a creative role in WWE? That would be really royally dumb. Like, I really would lose respect for Cody if he did that. That would be ridiculously dumb. Looking back at his last couple of years in AEW ends up being pretty weird too. Played this whole Shades of Grey character to the very end. I think that was all storyline related anyways. I think we were getting closer to him becoming more of a villain. That's clearly where they were going. I think they were trying to make Cody Homelander from The Boys. That was the whole motivation. And look, this whole thing could still very well be a part of that. Again, this could be real in that they truly have left AEW and are going to move elsewhere going forward with their future. But for all you know, this could still be a part of this whole Cody Rhodes character arc. And that they're playing along still. And it's not like Tony Khan wouldn't want to play along with this as well, knowing that this would get him buzz and news. So, but yeah, you're right. There have been it did feel like Cody had his own little universe away from the AEW universe for the past couple of weeks. I enjoyed it, personally. You know, Cody's stories, for the most part, throughout that whole year, I enjoyed it. You know, some things didn't land like the Ogogo feud, but other things that I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the Malachi feud. I enjoyed the Andrade feud. I enjoyed him and Sammy's back and forth with the TNT title. So I enjoyed those things. But yeah, it did feel like he was not attached to the whole ecosystem of AEW, if that made sense. Also, some really good matches left on the table, which sucks. Yeah, that's another thing too. That's another thing too. Like, Cody still had a lot of matches that he could have still had. Especially those that are coming into AEW. You know? He had Punk. He had Danielson. He had Adam Cole. He had another match with Kenny Omega on the Chamber. He had one with Hangman Adam Page. Miro. Another rematch with Darby. Another rematch at MJF. He had a lot of matches still left on the table to really accomplish in AEW, which is weird why he would just simply feel like he doesn't need to do that anymore. Because I look back now, if he, let's say he goes to WWE, right? Let's say he goes to WWE. Who do you really have interest of seeing him wrestle there? Roman, I guess, for the narrative of that whole match. I guess for some of you, Seth Rollins, maybe. Cody Edge, I guess for some of you, Cody AJ. That's probably about it for in terms of matches that I would think would get some interest in AEW. I mean, in WWE if Cody went there. There was more upside with the match he could have had in in AEW than he would have in WWE, in my opinion. TMZ of all places reporting Cody and TK had a falling out recently. Bizarre story. Well, I mean, like I stated earlier in this video, I'm sure Cody had a number and certain perks for his new deal with AEW, and although Tony probably offered him a better deal than his current AEW deal that just expired today, it wasn't enough for Cody, and they didn't come to an agreement. That's very possible. Like I stated, this whole thing is about Cody and Brandi Rhodes' deals expiring. It's not to say that they won't be able to find a deal down the road for Cody and Brandi to come back to AEW. It's just that these contracts are expiring right now. They could very well re-sign if cooler heads prevail and they look for a deal at the end of the day. But who knows? Who knows? Monroe, he would absolutely be a star. He would absolutely be a Hollywood guy if the right franchise contacted him, like Star Wars. I mean, you're not wrong, but it's like, I just don't get that vibe with Cody being a Hollywood guy. That's my thing. It's like Sasha, I get it. You know what I mean? Like Sasha, I get it. Roman through his connections with The Rock and all that, I get that. Cody, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know with Cody. It's just, maybe he lucks out and does become a Hollywood or semi-Hollywood star. Who knows? But I don't see it. I really don't. Unless he has this acting ability and charisma that's not wrestling ability and charisma that he could pull off, in other spectrums. But I don't know. It's kind of 50-50 with that with me. He could prove me wrong, but I don't know. I just don't see it at the moment. Fightful did report that they aren't close to the locker room and EVPs anymore. I think you're talking about the EVP story that's been going on for years. I mean, look, business is business. Sometimes if you go into business with your friends, business can really separate friendships and relationships. I mean, that does happen. My whole opinion about that whole story for years has always been, yes, I'm sure the EVPs have had ideas and suggestions that they were all butting heads naturally, and certain things were probably said to where they aren't as close as they once were. You got to understand that these guys have families and they have new goals now compared to when they were the part of the elite. So things change naturally. I don't think it's hatred, though. I don't know why people keep thinking that the EVPs hate each other. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they hate each other. I just think that they naturally went their separate ways, and aren't as close as they once were because of life. Shit happens. But I don't think they hate each other or have any spitefulness against each other. I don't believe that, though. Think of the storyline, the Samoan legacy versus the Rhodes legacy. Why? One legacy means way more to WWE than the other. Do you really want me to tell you which one it is? What that means nothing to me. That means absolutely nothing to me. Especially with the way this company has always treated the Rhodes for decades. whether it was them being a part of WCW and Crockett or them being in the WWF WWE at the time. The Rhodes have always been treated like garbage by the WWE and the McMahons. Seriously, some of you guys need to really do your historical research about wrestling sometimes. Like, the Rhodes and the McMahons have had a rivalry that is still going today, which is why it would be insane for Cody and Brandi to go back. And besides, if we were going to do Roman and Cody, who do you think's winning? And not even that, I'll even ask you this question. Who do you think is going to be propped as a superstar in that feud? There you go. No Punk and Dustin and FTR tag. Well, Dustin's staying. From what Dustin tweeted earlier this morning, Dustin said he is staying in AEW, which to me is a red flag of this whole Cody and Brandi Rhodes situation. I mean, yeah, maybe Dustin should have said something related to his, brother leaving and his brother's wife leaving, but that's a red flag to me. It's kind of like how Eddie Edwards tweeted something about Josh Alexander's Impact situation. That was a red flag to me that, this might be a semi-work. Again, I could be wrong. I do reserve the right to change my mind in case I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, that's a red flag to me. CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes was teased for nothing. Yes and no. We'll see where the situation goes, but we'll see. We will see. But I do believe if Cody had stayed, that was a match that was going to inevitably happen. Absolutely. Cody Bearcat Rhodes. That's nasty, man. That's utterly nasty. Cody might do it though, just for shits and giggles. He might do it. I'd pop. It is highly likely Cody and Brandi will go to WWE. Hey, I never said it wouldn't be. I said it is possible that Cody and Brandi just said, you know what, we did what we needed to do. We're going to cash in and get as much money as we can from the company who are making $1 billion in revenue and cash out when we feel like it. That's very well, that could very well be the motivation for this whole thing. I just think it's a boneheaded move. I just think it's dumb personally I think it's dumb personally for Cody and Brandi to go back, in my opinion. There's too many things for them to simply grovel back to WWE to do that. You know what I mean? It's dumb. I'm sorry. Like, there's really no other way to be nice about it. Like, I understand why they would do it. That doesn't mean I don't think that doesn't mean I don't think it's dumb. It is dumb. But we'll see. Cody versus Randy Orton will be awesome, though. But you've seen Cody and Randy before. You've seen Cody versus Randy Orton before. Multiple times. I mean, maybe for the feud itself, but, like, you've seen that match before. I have no interest in seeing Cody and Orton again. I don't watch WWE, so I assume Roman is still facing Brock. Yes, that's the main event match at WrestleMania, most likely. TMZ's reporting this too. Look, I'm not going to give out too much, but I can tell you through personal situations that I've had in wrestling that wrestlers contact, if not pay TMZ to get certain stories out there. That is true. That does happen. WWE, AEW, pick your promotion that's a big time promotion. Maybe UFC to a degree. Hell, celebrities do it anyways. Celebrities go out to find TMZ or a paparazzi guy from TMZ to make them break news or leak scoops out there. They do that all the time. Why would I not think wrestlers and people in the business wouldn't do that with TMZ? They do it all the time. So TMZ reporting it doesn't mean shit to me personally, because I'm sure Cody and Brandi or intermediates within the Rhodes camp contacted TMZ and told them their side of the story, and make sure that got out there when it was time to report it. That does happen. Wrestling is no different than Hollywood in that aspect, or the music business. So, I'm not surprised TMZ wouldn't be reporting on it. That just makes sense to do. Cody did want to retire during Roads to the Top. Again, Cody has stated, for years when he gets to 40 or at least a little over 40, that he would want to retire and have more of a backstage influence with AEW. So, that said, this is Roads to the Top. It's a reality-based TV series. I'm not going to take a person's word at face value from a reality show. I'm not going to do that. Not saying that Cody isn't looking to retire soon, but I'm just not going to take his word for it in a reality TV show. When you know damn well the second season of Roads to the Top is going to use all this contractual drama right now to build a storyline. But I'll talk more about that during Adam and Zahaya's podcast. Let's see here. The Rhodes have been treated like dog shit for years by WWE. Yes, they have. They have. Through Dusty, through Dustin, through Cody, and everyone that's been connected or friendly with them. The WWE and the McMahons have always treated the Rhodes like utter shit. This is no different. It's still going on today. I'm surprised Cody even got back his Rhodes trademark back from that company, quite frankly. Kind of says a lot about the state of WWE that you can count on a few fingers a match you actually want to see him have there. Yeah, the matches that I want to see him have in WWE are so little. I know people are gonna say shit like Cody versus Chad Gable or Cody versus Ricochet. I don't have no interest to see shit like that, or things like Cody versus Orton or Cody versus Sheamus. I saw those things 10 years ago. I have no interest in those either. I guess the only match that you could consider me interested in for truly with Cody being in WWE, if that were to be the case, would be Roman and maybe AJ Styles. That's about it for me. It's not a whole lot of quote-unquote dream matches for Cody to have in WWE, in my opinion. All of Cody's dream matches were in AEW. Simple, period. All of Cody's dream matches were in AEW. That's just my opinion. Sorry, just got into wrestling. Well, if you're a new wrestling fan, welcome to the craziness that is professional wrestling. Hit Kid, this just feels like a work to me, like it screams it. If he goes to the Fed for the money apologies, there goes all his reputation. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, man. It really doesn't. There's too much benefit for him to be in AEW, for him to throw that all away, to go back to WWE for a lesser position, knowing he would never be as valued as a Roman Reigns or a Brock Lesnar, or even a Sasha Banks or a Bianca Belair. It doesn't make sense to me. Look, honestly, think about it. I'm not even trying to be, I'm an AEW shit. I'm just thinking of a logical take here. Why would Cody Rhodes, EVP, a man that has the ear of Tony Khan, the man that is an executive with AEW, a man that has a lot of projects with the Warner Media conglomerate, why would Cody and Brandi Rhodes throw that all away just to go back to be on-air talent in the WWE and possibly not even in a mainstream main event role compared to a Roman or a Brock or a Sasha? Why would he do that? It's asinine. It makes no goddamn sense to me. Like if Cody really thinks he goes back to WWE as a main eventer, as a top guy, he has to know that's bullshit. Cesaro's out here jobbing clean to Baron Corbin, Happy Corbin, which I agree with, quite frankly, but neither here nor there. At the end of the day, it's time to pump the brakes here. Cody, throughout his entire WWE career, has been a mid-carder. He's been second level at best, third level his entire career. The Cody Rhodes of now in AEW is a way bigger star than any incarnation, than any form of Cody Rhodes in the past. And you mean to tell me that Cody and Brandi, even if they didn't get the big money deal that they wanted from Tony and AEW, you're telling me he's throwing all that away to go back to WWE where nothing would change for him? That's dumb. That is a dumb gamble to make. To throw away your connections with the Warner Media conglomerate, to throw away your corporate position in AEW, to throw away your star power in AEW, to throw away the dream match that you could still have in AEW, just to go back to WWE, knowing the creative process, the creative process there, and where you will be positioned in the card. That's stupid. It's dumb. We're gonna find out where this is going. We're gonna find out where this is all going very shortly. I'm just telling you what it is right now. I'm telling you what I feel about it, and I'm telling you what the situation is, because this is insane. If that's really the legit reason why he's leaving AEW, in my opinion. There's no other way to really excuse it. This is your first stream in 2 months. What have you been up to? Well, to be fair, I've had some production issues with a lot of the stuff that I used to stream and put videos together up for. So, but it looks to be fixed. So, I was gonna come back to do a WrestleMania live stream just to laugh at the event and have some people over to kind of laugh with it together. We'll still do that probably next month, but yeah, that's basically what the gist of it is. For me, I think he's taking time off, maybe retirement, or he's planning something big. Okay, but what is he planning, though? What would be the big thing he would have to plan? Again, maybe he is talking about retirement. I'm not saying that he isn't, but what would be the big plan? What could be the big plan that isn't WWE? And even then, I don't even think him returning to WWE is a really big plan for him and Brandi. What would it be? Unless, and this could be like a out of field thing, maybe he might be running for a political position in Georgia. He has talked about that as well. That would be big. But we don't know that to be sure until things start being put 2 to 2 together. So, who knows? This is so fucking weird. I mean, he fought the Fed for years to get the rights to the Roses in. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You went to court with WWE to get your namesake back, and you did. So now you're going back to them. I'm not. I don't want to say I'm 100% not fully behind it, but there's just too many red flags for me at this current moment to make me think that they truly have left All Elite Wrestling. It's being reported that he wanted a big money deal and they couldn't reach an agreement. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Again, as I stated, I do think Cody and TK came to a hostile, well, not hostile, but they came to a situation where they couldn't meet. They couldn't meet in terms of their value of one another, and they are taking a break from each other, and they let their contracts expire. I don't doubt that. What I do doubt, though, is that Cody and Brandi are seemingly willing to throw away 3.5 years of goodwill, a foundation for themselves, their star power, and their work, just to go back to the Fed because they may offer you a bigger money deal. It's foolish. It's foolish now, and it's gonna even be more foolish down the road if that's true. Let's see here. Cody, I guess, wants another crack at WWE or maybe go into acting full time. He wants another crack at WWE. Why? Here, okay. Let me look. I unironically loved many of his work in AEW. You know, when I tweeted about Cody Rhodes being this like gray, this Guy that's doing his own thing. Yeah, I tweeted that because I really did like that stuff. But let me be real here, though. Let me actually be real for a minute. Cody was allowed to do a lot of those things because he had the freedom to do so. The reason why he was able to go through flaming tables, the reason why he was able to turn heel in that predicament in so many ways, the reason why he was able to put over the Youngstown like he did was because he had the freedom to do so in a promotion that encourages it. So Cody is looking to convince me that he wants another crack at WWE with the way they treated him and the way they booked him, thinking that it would be any better now. I'm not saying that Cody Rhodes is going to start jobbing to everyone in the roster, but Cody is trying to tell me that now that he convinced himself and a lot of other people that he can be a potential main eventer for a promotion, that it would ring true in WWE, he's got to be kidding himself. And if that is what he truly believes, and he does go back to WWE, and the reality sets in that he was bullshitted on, and he starts doing jobs, and he starts looking like a complete geek on WTV, he has no one to blame but himself. There will be no sympathy from me if that happens, when it happens. If Cody and Brandi really go back to WWE and lose everything that they worked hard for 3.5 years, if they truly go back to WWE and they figure out the reality that nothing has changed there since they left, and they look like geeks in the process, don't look over here. Don't look over here. Don't look to me. Because there will be no sympathy. There will be no pity for you. I have no sympathy. I saw a lot of people get mad about Cesaro jobbing clean to Happy Corbin last week on SmackDown, and I couldn't give a damn. I thought it was the right decision. Corbin's more showcased. He's more protected in that company than Cesaro. So, of course, gets to go over clean. It was the right decision. Cesaro, as much as you people love him, Cesaro is Dolph Ziggler now. He's a guy that he is a good worker, but he's comfortable with the security, quote unquote, and the money that comes with being a part of the WWE, and has no intentions of going back out there to prove his self-worth or prove what he could still do. He's content of being in the position he's in WWE. Stop feeling sorry for Cesaro. It's over. Put that energy towards others that do want to prove themselves. And if Cody goes back to WWE and the reality hits him that he isn't the star that he thinks he is, I will have no sympathy for him. He gets all that he deserves, in my opinion. Call that harsh all you want. That's the reality. And a lot of you people believe that too. You just can't say that publicly. Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you things that you're already thinking of or are a little uncomfortable as truth, but I'm going to say it anyways. But we'll see what happens. Nothing is concrete yet. Wait, hold on. Is this article really true or false? This doesn't feel fucking right. Well, yeah. All Elite Wrestling put out the statement from Tony Khan on their Twitter account saying that Cody and Brandi's left their deal with AEW or completely have left AEW, period. We'll figure it out in the next couple of days. We'll hope he enjoys that 24/7 title scene. Let's not go that far. I don't think Cody's going to really be doing 24/7 title segments and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, it won't be main eventing WrestleMania either. Let's put it that way. Let's see. It doesn't make sense, but never doubt Cody's ego, I guess. It doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying Cody doesn't have an ego. Like Ring of Honor New Japan, Cody Rhodes had one of the most annoying Twitter accounts I've ever seen in my life. Literally off-putting and condescending. But he's been much better at it with AEW. But he does have an ego. But all wrestlers have egos. Just some are better at hiding it than others. To be fair, Drew McIntyre was also mid-card in his first WWE run too. Well, yeah, but let's be honest. Drew McIntyre got the WWE title during the pandemic year. I mean, it was nobody's fault that the pandemic had to hit wrestling the way it did, but Drew McIntyre, for all intents and purposes, was a pandemic world champion and hasn't been given that title since. There's no way Cody would mention his contract running out on TV unless this is a work. Uh, well, Punk did. Punk did back in 2011. Unless you want to believe certain stories about that whole thing, but Punk did it. We live in the era where like social media and digital media they reveal too much for fans not to know what's going on. That's why it's stupid to think that the casual audience still exists in wrestling. It doesn't. It really doesn't. We live in a social media digital world for better or worse, so it doesn't make sense. Let's see. Sort of off topic, but speaking of contracts, isn't Moxley's contract due in 3 months? These are the top guys that should have been locked in months in advance. Again, we don't know about a lot of these contract um, news and updates. AEW tends to be a little bit more discreet with those type of information. Like AEW seems to be a little discreet about information leaking like that, so you don't really get news from AEW on that forefront. But I mean, you would think that AEW has Moxley locked into a long-term deal, because for Moxley, he gets to still have freedom. He still gets to do his own thing in AEW. He gets to work in GCW and New Japan, which I'm sure he enjoys a lot. He gets more freedom. AEW and Tony helping him during his whole rehab situation. So you would think Moxley probably stays. But again, this is wrestling in 2022 and forward. I mean, who knows anymore? Whatever it is, you know. I didn't think I didn't think Daniel Bryan was really gonna leave WWE to go to AEW. I definitely didn't think CM Punk was returning to pro wrestling the way he did, and it happened. So who knows anything anymore? But if you want to ask my opinion on that, I do think Moxley probably does stay in AEW. But who knows anymore? Why did TK give Cody a TNT title run? Why did he give Brandon Angle with Paige Van Zandt, who would be a massive get for AEW? Doesn't make any sense. Well, I think the Cody and Sammy thing for the TNT title was supposed to go longer than it should have, but Cody got COVID. So that kind of delayed things, and certain situations were changed. But they eventually got to the destination they were going to. So, but um, I do think Cody was given, maybe, and to be fair, maybe Cody was given that as leverage for a new contract and what Cody wanted in that new contract. So who knows when it comes to that, but and then Brandy doing an angle with Paige Van Zandt literally 2 weeks ago, and Paige Van Zandt cutting that promo on the road to the week after, clearly establishing a match between her and Brandy. That's the more confusing thing to me than really Cody. I think Brandy's whole involvement has been more confusing than Cody. I think Brandy even stated on an interview that she wanted to earn winning a AEW championship, which I don't want to see that. I'm gonna be telling you right now. I don't need to see Brandy as AEW world champion at all. But she said that like 2 weeks ago. That's kind of my point. Like, I'm not saying that this whole Cody and Brandi Rhodes thing leaving AEW isn't real. I'm just telling you that there's way too many red flags and you know things that don't seem to connect that makes me think this isn't what people think it is. Like here's okay. Here's what I'm getting at. I need to see more confirmation before I think this is a real thing happening. And I don't feel confident right now. I need more confirmation. I need more information before I can go ahead and say, okay, this is real. They really have left the AEW. This is really happening. I don't feel that at the moment. I feel that there's just some red flags that are going off on my head that make me feel like this is not like for real. So it's a semi work. If at the very least it's a semi work, not a full on work. So, and yeah, the Brandy and Paige Van Zandt thing is just, it comes off out of nowhere. You start the build for that match. It probably was going to be a match at like Double or Nothing or something, and now Brandi's leaving. I just don't. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. At least not right now. Um, Again, we'll see where it goes for the next couple of days and weeks. But until then, I don't buy it at the moment. We all knew at some point a big AEW star would be jumping ship. I guess it's Cody. Well, we don't know if Cody's going back to WWE. Again, as I stated throughout this whole video, this whole breaking news audio, I think it would be completely ridiculous and dumb for Cody and Brandi to go back to WWE, losing all the leverage that they built in AEW. I think it would be completely dumb. I don't think he's jumped there yet. I'm not saying that he wouldn't, but he hasn't jumped there yet. So we don't know until we know. But yeah, of course, a lot of AEW fans need to understand and come to grips with the fact that yes, the majority of talent have jumped from WWE to AEW for a multitude of reasons, but there are going to be some AEW defections to WWE or elsewhere. That's what happens in wrestling. It's nothing new. You know, maybe one day Sammy Guevara goes to WWE. Maybe one day Chris Statlander goes to WWE. Shit happens, and a lot of AEW fans should prepare for that. It's not just going to be the lower level and jobbers that leave AEW to go to WWE or elsewhere. It's going to be some of the big names too. The future prospects. Because whether we like it or not, WWE is still a destination for a lot of wrestlers. And that's true for many AEW talent there. It's just a matter of whose worth is more for that company to keep and whose worth is less to let go. Those will be questions that will have to be answered down the road in the next year or two as they look for their next TV deal. Did that contract run out so that he can sign a new one without the title stipulation? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Cody basically stated if he lost to Chris Jericho at at Full Gear, right? If he had lost to Jericho at Full Gear for that title, he could never challenge for the title ever again. I don't think it mattered if he signed a new contract or not. I think it's more so if he couldn't beat Jericho, he could never challenge for the AEW title again. I may have to go back and watch that anyways, but I think that's what he implied. It would be hilarious in a way if this is where it's all leading, against like a Hangman, for example. But that's kind of the gist of what I got from that. So who knows? Unfortunately, nothing is making sense anymore pro wrestling. Yeah. I think the current wrestler in the Fed that needs sympathy is Ali, sort of. Well, the problem with that is that Mustafa Ali isn't, from his own words apparently, he's stuck in that company for 2.5 years. And by the time he leaves WWE, he'll be 38 years old. And then you'll have to ask yourself, do you really want to bring Ali after that? I get people like to do their hashtag free Ali, and people are trying to hope Ali can get out of there before the 2.5 years are up. But again, this is why I don't hold sympathy for those that re-sign that company. If you're disgruntled and not happy there, fucking shut the fuck up and wait it out until your contract expires and then get out of there. Don't even look at the new deal. Don't even look at the attempted money that you can get from that new deal. If you truly are unhappy in the company, if you truly are disgruntled, if you truly feel like your worth can be felt elsewhere than WWE, then stop talking, stop doing passive-aggressive tweets, stop doing stupid emojis like we're in high school, wait it out, and once it's time to, get out of there, get out of there. Jon Moxley has done this the best out of everybody. He kept his mouth shut, he got out of there as soon as he could, and then he started doing what he did. That's it. We might enjoy the passive aggressiveness and the emojis and all that, but at the end of the day, it's detrimental for many other talent. Just wait it out and get out of there. And then do what you want to do. I just wanted to address that because I'm just sick and tired of people thinking like you're some sort of profound person for the people. Just get out of there. Who gives a fuck? Hakeem, come to think of it, aren't we also in an era where fans get a little too connected to wrestlers? We absolutely are. We live in the era where fans think that because that they're friends with wrestlers online, or because they took a picture with them on the merch table, or because a wrestler retweeted one of their tweets or liked their tweet, or because one of their wrestlers said their name on a cameo that you have to pay $300 to do in the first place, that we're all just buddy buddy. And I think that's been detrimental to wrestling and the wrestling fandom, quite frankly. I think wrestling fans have gotten too attached to wrestlers, thinking that they're all good guys, thinking that they're all humble, that they're all wholesome, that they can never be what they think they are. And that's just so, it's just so inconsequential. It's so short sighted. I hate to break it to you, but the majority of wrestlers are pieces of shit. It doesn't matter if you agree with them, like, politically or socially or whatever. Like, a lot of these wrestlers have some form of of these wrestlers have some form of of a negative towards them, if that's the best way to put it, to where they're not the wholesome good doers you think they are. Like I always say it, like just watch them for their wrestling, watch them for their art, watch them for what they do on screen. Don't get personally attached to them like they owe you anything, because they don't. Because they don't care to owe you anything unless you're going to pay them, because they're workers at the end of the day. They're workers first and wrestlers second. I don't know why people continue to think this has changed in the past decade or so. It's even more apparent now. It's even more easier to swindle and scam and con wrestling fans as a wrestler. It's easy to do that now. And people think, oh, well, it couldn't be my wrestler. It couldn't be my favorite wrestler. It most likely is your favorite wrestler. Some people need a reality check sometimes when people think like, oh, it can never happen to them. It can always happen to you, and it tends to a lot of times. Let's see. Most Def feels like a move that will be regretful. I mean, WWE current creative state is terrible. Cody, I guarantee, will be paid in millions, but WWE will screw them over and trap them in a contract. Yeah, and I think they don't even. And if that's the case, they have to not care. I think if that's the motivation for Cody and Brady to just go back to WWE to earn the $1 million contract deal that they've never gotten even from AEW, if they feel like that's the move, then that's the move. But it's short sighted to me, because yeah, you'll get your deal that you were looking for from AEW, maybe with WWE, but like, is it really worth it if you know, like, you're not going to be presented as the main eventer that you were in AEW? It's short sighted to me, and I think there's going to be a lot of regret if that's truly their motivation. Then Cody and Brandi will have a lot of regret doing it, in my opinion. Jericho has done his job in AEW. I could see Jericho leaving from an in-ring aspect. I could see Jericho doing a Hall of Fame spot with WWE down the road, but I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be like him fully leaving, at least yet. Ricky Morton just tweeted, "Don't work yourself into a shoot." Well, there you go. No one would know better than Ricky Morton. Wrestlers mock fans who act as if they're best buds. I've seen it with my own eyes. Me too. Again, I don't want to get too far in my personal connection with the wrestling business, but I've seen it. I've heard wrestlers tell stories about how they they con and mock you guys. That's why I always tweet what I tweet on my account. Most of it is really me. Most of it is really me like shit posting and tweeting about my favorite wrestlers and wrestling promotions, but and also mocking certain shit I don't like. But that's what I try to tell and warn a lot of people on Twitter. Like, stop conforming and stop thinking like These wrestlers care about you. Most of them don't. I'm not saying that all of them don't. Some, a very few of them, but few of them probably do generally feel they want to change the business for the good, greater good, and they want to really make a good experience for the wrestling business and the wrestling fans in general. But they really do not give a shit about you. These wrestlers are here to make their money and to coerce fans to help them at the expense of your hard energy or your energy or your hard work. They don't care. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've heard the stories with my own eyes. Like, it's just better to keep them at arm's length and enjoy them for what they perform and entertain you too. Don't think like they're your buddies. Don't think like they're your friends, because they're not. Let's see here. Sorry about that. This has to be a work. Cody and Brandi have been working us real hard. Yeah, this has to be a semi work. It has to be a semi work at the moment. Chase Oliver. Cody for me was a nucleus to AEW. He did well in getting a lot of unknown talent into the fold. I'm interested to see how it turns out. Was Cody the founder of all the four pillars in AEW, or did others have hand in finding them? Well, with Cody, it can't be denied with Cody. Like, he put over a lot of people. He put over MJF. He put over Darby. He put over Sammy. He put over Wardlow. He helped get Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston contracts with AEW during his open challenge. He had one of the best TNT title reigns of that company's history. He's done a lot for the community outreach. He handled the Brody Lee Memorial Show very well. He's done a lot of good for AEW. I know a lot of people like to hate on Cody because it's the cool thing to do, but he's really been a positive for AEW. He's done a lot for AEW. When a lot of people thought, oh, Cody was just going to use it as a Vandy project, or he was going to coerce some money mark for him to do whatever he wants, and that just wasn't the case. Cody, there's many things to criticize Cody for. Trust me, I'm with you. But at the end of the day, he did his job. He did what he needed to do for AEW and for the wrestling business in the modern sense, and got a lot of these guys that are going to be the future stars of this business ready. That was all Cody, and you have to give him credit for that, and I do. For the majority of Cody's run in AEW, I give him a lot of credit. I enjoyed it for what it was. Brandi, a little bit more 50-50 there, but she helped with bringing a more female wrestling fan base into the promotion. Worked with a lot of the organizations to make it more, I guess, inclusive. And I know. Look, she does not need to be wrestling, let alone being a champion. But I thought her being a manager was fine, and for all intents and purposes, she seems like a cool person anyway. So I don't want it to make it seem like she's a bad person because I don't like her or anything. As for the four pillars, God, the four pillars talk as of late has been so fucking asinine. I don't want to get into it here, but Cody does get credit for having some sort of hand in it, for sure. Jacob said, what you said about the problem on the women's wrestling in North America, these problems persist for over 70 or 80 years, don't you agree? I don't want to get into that topic into deep detail. I'm actually going to speak maybe more about that during Zahai and Adam's podcast later tonight, but I do agree. I actually do agree. Until Cody confirms or denies this, I ain't believing this article. Well, I mean, Cody put out a statement on Twitter this morning, basically confirmed that he has left AEW for the time being. So, I mean, it's not like it isn't a true story right now. Jose, the one thing that's causing me to doubt that it's not a work is the fact that TK is a student of the game, huge WWE fan. He should know working the boys comes off really badly. I think this is a little bit different. I think it's more. I don't think it's like Cody, and I don't think it's like TK purposely keeping everyone in the dark. I think it's more so that Cody and Brandi, if we're to assume this is a semi-work, let alone a full-on work, it's more so that Cody and Brandi are going through legit um, tactics and actions to make this be perceived as real, and that once the timing is right, they'll sign a new deal and come back and do what they want to do with the characters. So, um, I don't think that'd be the case. But TK is a mid South guy, a mid Atlantic guy, a WCW guy, ECW guy. He knows how the game goes. That's why I'm having all these red flag scenarios, because Tony Khan is a lot smarter than a lot of people give him credit for. I think he knows what this all means, but we'll see where it goes. We could be wrong. Brandi is ambitious. I respect that. That being said, keep that microphone away from her. I mean, look, Brandi has cut some good promos before, but like these promos as of late have not been, they have not been good. And I don't need Brandi to be taking TV time from other people that could really use it. So, but that's just my opinion. Muhammad, just yesterday, Chris Jericho replied to Kevin Owens, "I haven't forgotten Owens. You never know when you'll see me again." I mean, that's probably just Jericho, teasing just to tease. But again, I mean, Jericho. It's not like it would be a surprise if Jericho went back to WWE, because that's been the majority of his career, being in WWE. So it wouldn't surprise me if Jericho got a Hall of Fame spot and had a final retirement match at WWE. I could see that. He's done his job in AEW too. That's another guy. It's not just Cody, but Jericho, for better or worse, whatever you may think of him now, Jericho did what he was supposed to do for AEW, and he's done it to the best of his abilities, for the most part. So you cannot take that away from Jericho. I'm also wondering if the rumors of Brandi and Kenny butting heads over the women's division is true. Yeah, that was also another rumor that went out there as well. And I mean, if you saw the women's division if you saw the women's division in 2019, 2020, you can buy that report, because it was clear Brandi wanted it to be more sports entertainment. Kenny was more leaning it towards of the Joshi side of things. So that's clear that heads will butt. I do think the women's division has improved greatly since that period. There's still work that needs to be done with it, but I do think the women's division has clearly improved from the era of the Nightmare Collective and all that bullshit. So there's that. They may return to AEW at some point. Again, like I stated, Cody and Brandi could very well re-sign with AEW in a couple of weeks or months, and this could all have been added to the drama of Rhodes to the Top and the arc of Cody and Brandi Rhodes. You never have to put it past them. At all. And it looks like I've been caught up with all of the chat questions and comments. So, yeah, that's where we stand right now. That is where we stand right now with this whole situation with Cody and Brandi Rhodes and AEW and their future. So that's the breaking news. Cody and Brandi Rhodes have left AEW, and we have no idea where this is going to go fully. We will have news. I mean, not me, but we will be probably getting more news and information about this whole ordeal for the next couple of days and weeks. For me, AEW had a stacked show for Dynamite tomorrow night, but this news it's made it must see now to watch Dynamite to see what's going to happen with all this. But who knows? Who knows? Again, where I stand with this whole thing, like I stated, I do think this whole ordeal is legit, but I do think there are certain aspects of it that could be seen as a work. But again, we will not know that until we get information and confirmation about certain things. So we'll just have to play the guessing game until then. So there you go. That was breaking news audio from me for the newscast. And I think the next time you'll see me, I think I'll try to do another newscast before the WrestleMania newscast. And we'll see about that. So I'm going to head off here. If any other breaking news happens about this whole situation or anything in general, I'll be back here. I'll be back here to add it into the update. But until then, this is me signing off. Thank you all for joining me for the newscast and subscribing, by the way. I appreciate that. So until then, this is Hakeem Johnson telling all of you to stay cool. Stay cool.